Hi, I'm here to rank Jean Grey's roles in the X-Men films. I actually really like Jean Grey. I think that she's a really good character, and she got a lot to do in a few of the X-Men films. In seventh place is Jean Grey's role in the Wolverine. Um, Wolverine sees Jean Grey in I think our hallucination dream things. It's cool to see her, but what Wolverine imagines I think doesn't fully work because he seems to imagine Jean Grey being all alone. But wouldn't Cyclops be with Jean Grey? It seems like yet another opportunity to throw Cyclops under the bus, to ignore him, to make it seem like Wolverine is the one that truly loves Jean Grey, and it really felt like it didn't work the way it should have. In sixth place is Jean Grey's role in X-Men Days of Future Past, and she is barely in the film, but I do think her little appearance in it is better than her role in the Wolverine. I think that her showing up alive helps show that what Wolverine and Professor X did really did change a lot and made things better. So it's an important scene. In fifth place is Jean Grey's role in X Men Apocalypse, which I think does a decent job of introducing a new take on Jean Grey. She gets a decent amount of screen time. For a lot of the film, it does feel like it's setting things up for her, where she shows up in a lot of scenes but doesn't do too much. She does end up being incredibly important towards the end of the film, and what she gets towards the end of the film is really cool, but she doesn't get a lot of big standout stuff before then. In fourth place is Jean Grey's role in the first X Men film. I feel like she does get a decent amount of focus. There are a lot of important X Men characters that do feel ignored in the X Men films, but I feel like the first X Men film does a decent job of exploring Jean Grey as a character, showing what she's like, what she cares about, and I don't think it starts things off badly for her. I do think her role in the film works. There are certainly characters that get more focus and more memorable roles, but I don't think what Jean Grey got to do in the first X Men film is anything bad. Uh, in third place is Jean Grey's role in X2. Jean Grey does feel a lot more focused on in X2 than the first X Men film. When I think about X2, I often think about Wolverine and the trio of characters that have very different opinions about what to do: Professor X, Magneto, and William Stryker. I feel like uh, the three characters in the trio and then Wolverine, I feel like help carry X2, but Jean Grey actually does have a really big role in the film. She's dealing with difficult stuff involving how she feels with her abilities, and there's a lot of power stuff that is difficult for her. There's a lot of really interesting stuff explored with Jean Grey, and she becomes incredibly important towards the end of the film, so I think her role in the film works. In second place is Jean Grey's role in Dark Phoenix. It seems like Dark Phoenix is the most unpopular X Men film, but I do like it. And one of the reasons why is I like Jean Grey in the film. Uh, she does actually feel like the protagonist of the film. Uh, And considering the storyline, I think that's a good thing. I was already a fan of Sophie Turner as an actress because I really liked her as Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones, so it was cool to see her play a superhero. And in Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey, one of the more mature, reasonable X Men characters, gets to go through some really complicated things where her morality feels tested, where it feels like she can't control her powers, and there's a lot of characters after her, and I feel like her role is very interesting, and it feels like the terrible thing that happened to her wasn't her fault. She was uh, trying to save people, and she was being a hero, and then it was hard for her to control the Phoenix, and then afterwards she becomes a tragic character, and it's hard not to feel sorry for her. And she is a well thought out character in the film, in my opinion. I think that the film and her role in it are underrated. And in first place is Jean Grey's role in X Men The Last Stand. And I think that a lot of people didn't like how the Phoenix storyline was adapted in the film, and there are certainly things in the film that could have been better, especially when it comes to Cyclops, but I do really like seeing a villainous Jean Grey. I think she has such a cool look to her. When it comes to the actress, I think it's Famke Janssen. I think she gets her best stuff to do and gets to show off her acting abilities the best in The Last Stand. I think she is really cool in the film, and Jean Grey has a really memorable, intimidating look to her. And the Phoenix controlling Jean Grey leading to all these complicated things. It's very fascinating, and it leads to a really memorable scene towards the end of the film. Lots of really good stuff. So I do really like Jean Grey in The Last Stand, and I do really like The Last Stand. Hopefully my opinions aren't too bad.